no one thought anyone would reach full stop.
Yeah, people say, oh, that's silly, no one's going to make it. Well, maybe not as many as people hoped would make it, but we've got one, and it's Hunter Ace. But to this tournament, these guys are also in contention. I think Impyyy's form has improved massively through the year as well. We haven't talked about him much. And he's very philosophical about going on stream. He's like, I want to go on stream as much as possible because I do feel better each time I'm up there, whether it's 40 people or 40,000 people. I just want to sit on the stream and get into it. And Kalaxz, to me, has never cared. It's never bothered him. He cares, but it's never bothered him whether he's on stream or not. He just plays his game.
He just seems that way. He's
chill.
Cool and French and, you know, very blasé about the whole thing. Blasé.
But he's done well in tournaments for Hearthstone for forever. I mean, he was playing the old Insomnias when they were small, just because he liked them, and then he played the big ones. And we see him in every event pretty much these days. He also got top 4 in Toronto earlier in the year, so he's actually had a sneaky good year, but obviously with the likes of Muzzy, Sayan, and the Norwegian dude. Who we don't speak of because he's not here. No, and Hunter Ace, and Casey, obviously. He's sort of got lost in the shuffle a bit, but he's had a very good year, along with the likes of Fairley and a couple of other Europeans who people sort of forget have had such great years.
But now, getting into the series, we have a Hunter mirror in class, but not in deck, as Kalaxz has gone with what is generally still, I think, the more popular version of Hunter, although it's getting pretty close in the Death Rattle Hunter, much more of an anti-control deck. People have been having a lot of success with it against all the, you know, the odd warriors and the druids as well to an extent. Whereas here we see from Impyyy, am I allowed to call it ball control subject 9 Hunter?
I think you are, and I think we sort of get bullied if we don't by Fino, so yeah, we have to now.
It's subject 9 Hunter at least, popularized, I think also created by ball control.
And only played by ball control and Impyyy.
He's the only one who could win with it, from what I'm seeing. Like, well, I mean, actually that's not true. Didn't Sayan take it in his full
he doesn't
playoffs?
Count.
He doesn't count
He's
either.
not allowed to play Whizbang, or he would. But yeah,
either way, I find that this matchup is fairly good for the, usually, for the Secret Hunter, the Subject 9 version, because you can get off to a really powerful start with your minions. You have things like Diamol into Crackling Razormaw, which you don't have access to in the Death Rattle Hunter. And you also have very powerful turns with the Spellstone. However, that really just hasn't come together
just drawn
for Impyyy.
A whole collection of nothing, and this is what happens when I play this deck. I think this is the reason that I think this deck hasn't caught on, because this draw is not uncommon.
That's fair.
Obviously, if you get the thing with Hunter, if you play any number of secrets and 2 Spellstones and you draw the Spellstone, you probably just beat most things, because Spellstone, apart from against Hellfire, is just insanely good.
It just kind of wins the vast majority of the time. It's why it's so good, I find, against the aggressive matchups, because you stay, you know, in a reasonably similar spot against the aggressive decks until turn 5, and then when they play their rubbish, whatever 1-mana follow-up is, you make 12-12 for 5 and you just kill them.
Rexar, obviously another great card. Mossy Horror is good in the format. But I always feel with this build of Hunter, and this is with the great respect to Ball Control, who I know has done really well with it, it feels like there's something missing from the deck. It feels like it's 3 or 4 themes that kind of home in on being fairly aggressive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to quite gel like a really... Like, you look at Malygos Druid and everything seems so clean and tidy and it all has a purpose. In this deck, sometimes you just draw a snipe and you're like, why is this in my deck?
That's what it feels like to me as well. It's 2 separate play styles that are fighting for your attention at the same time. Like, in early turns, do you go Diamol, Razormaw, Animal Companion, Houndmaster, or do you go Secret Coin Spellstone? Like, it's 2 very discrete game plans, which, I mean, I'm sure Ball Control is shouting at his screen right now and saying, yeah, you know, you're a moron, it works perfectly together. But generally, I find it just gets off to starts like this, where you have very disparate cards that don't work together particularly well, and you get in a position where
you get beaten down by a slow deck.
Yeah, I mean,
we are
ragging on the deck.
Yeah, I mean, this deck is an interesting deck. It's got a lot going on, but
it's not done the job here.
It's not getting it done here at all. Obviously, it's getting it done in the tournament, though. Impyyy is 6-1. This is something that I think we always forget on streams when a deck... First of all, maybe there's decks we have favourites and we don't, and then that deck does badly on stream. You think, oh, it must be bad. God. But it's 6-1.
I was going to say, if a cube can be found anytime soon for Kalaxz as well, this goes from good to unlosable.
Well, yeah, lose this. You don't have things like Spreading Plague in this deck because you are a Hunter.
I don't think there's any beast that can even be discovered for 5 mana. If there was Bloatbat into Stubborn Gastropod, maybe for 1 more mana that could keep Impyyy in the game for a turn. But that was just the systematic, absolute dismantling of Impyyy there. That was one of the most lopsided games of Hearthstone we've had here.
Yeah, and I think it showed the side of the deck that does cause a lot of people to say, is it a real deck? But I will say that Death Rattle Hunter is kind of similar to that in a different way. It's like it's got this Death Rattle theme going on, that it's got the Rexar, I Am Rexar theme, and then the surrounding cast is kind of weird in that. So it's not like it's just Subject 9. Hunter in general is kind of bizarre right now.
Do you know what Hunter I played against earlier on ladder?
Mechathune Hunter.
Even Hunter.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah, I know. It sounds weird. It's because it was like Even Bomb Hunter, so it had the whirligig guy, the
whirligig guy.
I can't remember, the 2-drop that summons a bomb and the Explodinator.
Oh, yeah, Fireworks doofus.
No, not that guy, the different guy.
Oh, there's so many whirligig guys.
Either way, it was, I don't know, I destroyed it. It wasn't like particularly, didn't do very well, but maybe
that hero power only cost 1, didn't that kill you?
Yeah. Either way, that's a nice swift victory for Kalaxz there, which could very easily not have gone that way, as we discussed. And now counter options are available to Impyyy with his fairly aggressive lineup. After the Odd Rogue was banned, his options were what? Taunt Druid, is that?
Token Druid.
Token Druid, sorry, okay.
You can read my lovely writing.
Yeah.
And this Zoo deck, so he is pretty aggressive, and we are seeing the aggressive decks in general rising to the top in this event, I think.
And I think this is definitely the way to go. You don't want to be going with the... I mean, Token Druid, I think, is a fine matchup against the Death Rattle Hunter. Even if Impyyy ends up losing this one, I still think he's got a respectable counter queue. But Zoo is really nice against this Hunter deck. You can just get to the point where you absolutely dominate them in the first couple turns.
Just a closing thought on the Hunter thing where you say we did rag on it a little bit there. I feel that it's the class that is most likely to have a massive change with the next set.
Okay.
Like it feels like it needs 1 or 2 cards to complete several different nearly good decks.
Yeah.
And whatever gets released that completes one, it could become incredibly powerful. You might not even see a massive shift in how it works, but maybe Death Rattle just gets rid of some of those bits around the edges, or maybe Subject 9 has a real secret to work with.
Maybe Even Hunter becomes the new tier 1 deck.
Even Hunter,
Scourge of the meta.
If all your cards are even, win the game. That's how that would be good. Okay, so back to reality, and again, it's big reality for these guys. They need to, definitely in Kalaxz's case, needs to win to go top 8. Impyyy may have some breathing room, but we've said may have breathing room about people in the past going into top 8, and we don't mean they're in. We've seen them miss many, many times.
Absolutely.
When you've played 8 opponents and the person you've got tie breaks to try and beat's played 8 opponents, that's a 16-point tie break swing that can happen. He's safe by like 5. So it could go very wrong still. And
for Impyyy, it's looking like a surprisingly unimpressive starting hand, even after he threw away the Voodoo Doctor off the mulligan, which wasn't necessarily the easiest mulligan, although I do agree with it, given that the Light Warden on its own, it would have to go like Light Warden, tap, then Voodoo Doctor. It's a little bit fancy and fiddly of a play. You just want the well-statted minions. He's missed out on a good 2-drop, which is, well, sorry, a good turn 2, I should say.
There's only one,
yeah, which is either Keleseth or double 1-drop, and doesn't even have a 3-drop to follow up with. So it's, unless he can find Doubling Imp or Fungal Enchanter, not looking amazing for Impyyy here, especially as Coin Spider Bomb, as I'm looking at here. Yeah, for Kalaxz, looks like a great way to clear this up.
Another thing we need to point out is some of the players are looking really tired, even though the day hasn't been particularly long. That is because they are not having a second rest. They finished their Swiss games, and nearly to a man, they are queuing up on ladder to try and get their points for the season at the same time.
They are indeed. Impyyy has had, I think, it's fair to say, a rocky relationship with competitive Hearthstone.
Yeah, that's fair.
Recently, he hasn't been consistently laddering, getting those points, those tour-stop victories or top 16s, which players like Kalaxz have. He's been a lot more... he's been taking breaks here and there, but it's good to see him still showing he's got just the raw skill to pull it back when he needs it, in the form of taking top 16 at HCT Germany, or getting very possibly through to the top 8 here.
Yeah, he's a strange case when it comes to, let's say, lack of motivation, though it's not that. His problem is actually that he realises how good he wants to be and how much work that would take. And he works super hard at the game, but he demotivates himself almost by thinking too far ahead. Yeah. If he just sat there and did what he does, he would be absolutely rampaging through top 16s every time.
Yeah.
But instead of that, he goes, why aren't I Hunter Ace? I need to play 200 hours a day. Days only have 29 hours or whatever days have. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Rather than just playing 12 hours a day, and which he would do absolutely fine. So it puts a little bit too much pressure on himself. But the work he's been doing has been paying off nicely.
Lovely trade here as well by Kalaxz, in that you know, with the information he had available, wasn't necessarily so obvious. But we can clearly see with Dreadlord available to come down, works out pretty nicely for him. Although I guess it, with the other 3/3 on board, works out about the same actually, because of the trade and the Dreadlord. Yeah.
Going to say a terrifying thing here, but Kalaxz is a player who very rarely walks into like obvious traps. He really thinks through sort of, I think he spends more time thinking what his opponent's going to do to him, which obviously all players do that as much as they can, than what his actual game plan is, because I think he naturally understands his own game plans really clearly.
Fair enough.
And I think he's very good at reading hands, but he will now probably do something appalling and make me look like an absolute idiot.
He'd probably do it just to spite you, wouldn't he?
He probably would if he knew I'd said it, yeah, he probably would.
So it was just a pretty straight-up choice between, on that turn, Hunter's Mark Mind Control Tech or Grizzly. If he was sensing that MCT would be good anytime soon, I definitely would have expected to see a Grizzly. But given how not good Grizzly was, he would have to expect to get a really good Mind Control Tech to make up for the fact that he's developing a 3-attack minion into his opponent's Dreadlord. And I think that was a good read from him there, that it is unlikely to actually be getting a steal in the next 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah, and on top of that, obviously with Impyyyyy going to 6 mana that turn, he was very likely to play at least 2 minions, possibly even spew things onto the board, which having, you know, doing that, the Grizzly would be that much better.
Yeah.
So if he relaxed anymore, he'd fall off the stage, I think, right now. Just looks like he's not even looking at the game sometimes, but he certainly is.
He's just hip. He's cool.
He is. So Impyyyyy not having the best of this without those Hunter's Marks really making a massive dent in his bigger minions.
Yeah, preemptive Hunter's Mark is not a play that you see that often in Hearthstone, quite surprisingly. It's one of the reasons why, because, you know, it's not just kill a minion, you have to add something else to it. It's one of the reasons why it has not been one of the strongest cards in Hearthstone, despite it being clearly a very good one. But it has worked out well here for Kalaxz. It means we can't see an attack and Soulfire, which would be very easy, into the Witchwood Grizzly if it had been left alive. Also would have taken out the Mind Control Tech.
Well, that's the thing, is he's really protected the Mind Control Tech here.
Nicely.
Either the Grizzly survives 4 extra damage, because you'd probably bump into it even if the Grizzly... If you've got to get through, you're the Zoo Deck, you've got to get through before bad things start happening to you.
Because if Grizzly survives... play dead off the top is a 1 game. Kalaxz has just won the game at that point because he gets 2 3/12s.
So that play...
That's close. That could be a play dead here for Kalaxz, which would be
that would
absolutely
just be pretty
insane.
much the game. Not entirely so, but on 26
pretty
health,
much.
With Katrina in hand, and Cube play dead would be insanely good. He picked that pretty quick, whatever it was.
And there it is. Yeah, taking a second to think about it, but in the end, it's very clear, and Impyyyyy has to be thinking himself, why, oh why, did I not attack and Soulfire? It was a close decision. It had to be exactly this to get the really strong punish for his play, but it was there, and Kalaxz is just miles in the lead now.
And that all goes back to that Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Impyyyyy would have just done both things and got on with his life, killed both minions, and here we go.
Wasn't an obvious play.
Made a massive difference there. And sometimes it's just that one little decision that you're sitting at home, you're going, oh, I made all those plays but one, and you're like, yeah, that's the one that
would have lost
changed the game.
Yeah, it seems so insignificant, but it really was the game changer here.
And now, barring craziness here, this is the slow march towards Hunter's creeping victory.
I think slow march is
dinosaurs on the loose.
A bit strong, as Impyyyyy throws down the concede. His counter Q did not work. Zoo up against the Death Rattle Hunter, clearly leading to, I mean, you know, I don't even want to call it a misplay because it was such a specific series of cards that had to come through from Kalaxz. I'm sorry, I had my water in there. That's very naughty of me.
Yeah, you shouldn't have water.
Yeah.
That's really bad for you.
Bad, Darren.
But Token Druid remaining, I believe, if I got my notes right.
Yes, I think you're right.
So that's not bad against the Hunter, at least
really
for the first
bad.
attempt at coming back into it. In fact, I'd say it's possibly even better than Zoo against Hunter, personally.
Really? Interesting.
I think it's a really strong matchup. But then I have seen multiple Hunter games. It looks really good when it wins, but when it loses, you don't sort of notice that. I can't explain. It doesn't make as much of an impact when it loses. When it wins, and just kills you on turn 4.
And now we got it from Impyyyyy, where with a full mulligan there, I definitely think he was looking for pretty much exclusively Wild Growth and Whispering Woods.
Yeah.
I think is by far the best cards he could find off the mulligan, as either one would give, well, if you can go Wild Growth into Whispering Woods, that would be the dream. But it's going to have to be a pretty quick development onto the board here by Kalaxz. to have any chance of fighting back against Coin Whispering.
I think I've played this, or sorry, I've cast this matchup 4 times this weekend, and the Hunter's gone turn 2 Kalaxz and won the game every time to make me look like an idiot for saying that the Token Druid's favourite.
Really?
Because it's not just the buff you get from the Kalaxz, it's the fact it is your 2-drop. You have a minion on the board. Every minion you have on the board means that Whispering Woods is 1 minion less good.
Yeah. Lovely play as well from Kalaxz, just developing onto the board with the 3/3 that won't get any value. He's just playing on curve. It's not an amazing play, but this is your one chance to fight back.
I think you coin Whispering Woods and get on with it.
Really? Do you not think you coin swipe?
Just do this.
Oh, what happened? Okay, so if you coin swipe and he plays Houndmaster Shore, that's the worst thing that can happen because then he can rush in minions.
Maybe that would be better. Maybe coin swipe would be better there.
I think it was closer than you make it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You end up with 1 less Wisp, I suppose, afterwards, because you've used up 2 cards on the previous turn. And only having 5 Wisps is quite a lot worse than 6. It really is close.
Because he's got the buff. We've seen this happen where people haven't played it because they haven't got the buff. But this is going to get him out of the early game with an okay board.
That's pretty big, though. It is
Now I like the swipe. Oh, then you go into the Rexar turn on 6 if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's right. You need to be playing it quite quickly.
So you've got to do it now. But then,
he doesn't have to. He does not have to. I think he will. Yeah. Because if there wasn't Rexar and Mossy Horror on turn 6, Impy would be a lot more willing to play out the swipe here. But because there is still just very limited punish for Kalaxz here, it means that Impy should be able to stick a branching path here on this board.
Which one do you want, MC Tech or Ziliax?
You want MC Tech to go right now, right? Oh, unless he wants to play Flanking Strike? No, I think you still want Mind Control.
I think you want the MC Tech because it sets you your next turn to deal with any potential 2/2 problems better.
It is close, though, because Ziliax just played as a 5-mana 4/3 that blocks 2 hits. That's really good. You don't even rush it in. You just leave the Divine Shield intact.
Okay. So he wants to steal them if they get Soul of the Forested, not before. Because he's greedy and he's clever.
And, well, I mean, Houndmaster Shore kind of demands an answer, because if it doesn't get answered, then Mind Control Tech on the next turn, it gets a rusher. Yeah, it gets a 1/1 rushing Wisp.
But you never thought when you started playing Hearthstone you'd be talking about stealing 1/1 rushing Wisps.
What are you talking about? When I first started playing Hearthstone, I thought Wisp was the best card in the game. Infinite value.
I've crafted Golden Wisp before on stream.
Really?
Yeah, every time I said, if I'm naughty boy again, I'll craft a Golden Wisp. 3,200 dust, and 10 minutes later.
You have to make it sound weird, don't you, Neil?
It wasn't meant to sound weird.
Well,
you have to make me sound weird, Derek.
Yeah. But the play that Impy had clearly been leading towards for a long while here, I guess has to come down. It's really not good. And well, maybe it should have been Savage Roar on that turn. Like, it allows him to go. If he went Savage Roar Hero Power, that gets him up to a 3-attack Hero Power. He's still triple trading.
Yeah, but one of them is your face.
Yeah,
so you're not losing a Wisp.
So he ends up with 2 Wisps on the board then. That's really not that good.
It's like he didn't think this through. He's got halfway through the turn and he's like, oh, I really want to kill that Shore. Oh, I can't. Oh, I'll just hit you in the face then.
This is just always going to go wrong, though. Like, by not clearing up, I think you're just irreparably losing board control.
I mean, you lose here to... I guess this plays around Mossy Horror, doing it this way instead of using Savage Roar.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. That is a good point.
But you are still losing to Rexar, and you're still losing to this MC Tech, I think, a lot of the time.
Anything. Just Flanking Strike here clears up all but one of the minions. Mind Control Tech clears up every minion. I guess the thinking here for Impy is that he can go for Spreading Plague to try and pull things back.
Yeah.
But he's
not going to be a Spreading Plague of any size, and there's Flanking Strike and Hunter's Mark in hand.
But the saving grace for Impy is that at the moment, Kalaxz is not actually developing that much pressure onto the board. It's good, but after the swipe comes down, there's high main into Katharina. Yeah, there's quite a lot of pressure.
But Impy does have a lot of...
He's got a lot of
taunts, and he has a buff. Like, if 2 or 3 things survive one turn, he can still win the game.
And Kalaxz is down to 12 because of Impy's decision to go for... Well, whether it's Branching Paths or Savage Roar, either way, he's got it to a point where one decent minion sticking will just win him the game.
Yeah, or two or 3 little ones. And there's plenty of little ones coming up in the next few turns.
And it's looking at the moment like unless What would that have to be? Witchwood Grizzly comes off of Katharina. He might just be getting there.
Yeah, this time it would be Mossy Horror or Rexar would be fine. Okay, talking to Grizzlies. Want to just turn up to the party?
Yeah, not the one he wanted to.
I think Kalaxz has
he's
even
summoning.
by the way, for his next. If that's what you're trying to
Probably.
look for.
Yeah, I was looking at what kind of druid he has. I can't read your handwritings if it was taunt or token.
Token.
Right, yeah, okay.
I've written it wrongly so many times, though. It doesn't really. I've written it as T-Druid a few times in the past.
T-Druid.
That always helps me remember which one it is.
He's my favourite rapper. Was that a joke? I don't even know if that technically qualifies, to be honest. It was so pathetic.
I thought it was good.
Thanks,
Which
mate.
means it was probably terrible. Yeah, I don't know if that's a compliment.
And now, with the amount of damage that can come through here, how much is this for Impy? If he goes Savage or Hero Power, that is 4 and 3. He can push 6 damage to face, as I count it.
Yeah,
which you probably don't want to go for.
Like he's just going to go.
Yeah. After you realise it's not lethal, I think you have to
soul.
solidify your board control. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you don't have to do. Well, 3 damage face is kind of important because you do have double UI in hand, but you die so quickly if you do lose the board that actually 2 UIs might be too slow.
And then as soon as they play Rexar, it not only clears your board but pulls them out of range.
You.
Yeah, yeah.
Time waits for no one.
So he is going to chip the 3 away by the look of it. Impy seems to keep changing his mind halfway through turns.
He does, yeah. Like this play, I can understand because it doesn't seem like Kalaxz has a Mossy Horror. But I don't know. I feel like getting the lockdown of the board state on this turn with Chain Gang, Soul of the Forest, then next turn you go for the Savage Roar. It does mean your opponent has plenty of minions on board, so they can trade, then go Rexar if they have it. But it has not worked out well at all here for Impy. Plenty of minions to be trading away onto the board here for Kalaxz. He's going to have to either get a remarkably powerful Spreading Plague, which we can see he very possibly will, or Ultimate Infestation is going to have to pull him back.
Second time
that
and changes
big.
It another time. And this is the thing with his deck, it just keeps doing silly stuff.
Yeah, pulls it out of nowhere. Kalaxz does not seem happy about that. He really wants to find a Mossy Horror right about now. Hearthstone?
Hello. Can we see the card, please, Hearthstone? There we go. Oh,
but he's got Q-bladed! He's got Q-bladed on the...
Second time in a row.
On the Witchwood Grizzly. That's so sick. He can even fit in the Flanking Strike as well. He just needs to figure out what are the perfect sequence of trades. He can take out 3 of the Scarabs with just all the minions he has on board. Flanking Strike then doesn't actually help kill off anything else.
This might get interesting in terms of the double Ultimate Infestation. I was only sort of vaguely looking at it a minute ago, but Impy will UI face next turn.
Oh, man.
And then it could just come down to, can Kalaxz kill him with his massive board, or will he just die to 2 UIs?
Yeah.
He might die to 2 UI. I don't think I've ever seen UI into UI. Because usually it just decks you to death because you haven't got them low enough. Because
It's neat to think. I've done it before, yeah. It usually does deck you to death, I agree.
How much attack, though, has Kalaxz got on the board?
He's got a lot. It's now, what, 12,
25?
18, 25? Yeah, I count it as that as well, which means UI would stop that, yeah, especially with the 5 armor and the 1/5 still protecting you. Savage Roar doesn't get there.
That's just making the cast just count things. We don't want to do that. We want to UI the face.
He's doing the same thing as me with pointing the finger as well.
Yeah, it's really weird. I saw you both in the same eye line. It's like, what's happening?
But he's realizing the same thing we are. The Savage Roar is not the best way to get there. He is setting up for living on this turn and then going double UI to face to close out the game.
I think it's just Rexar that saves Kalaxz. There might be some weirdness that does it, but I think it's just Rexar.
If he gets Mossy, is that just lethal because he takes out the Scarab? Or even just double Flanking Strike here. That is...
it's
what,
still 25.
6, 12, 18, 25. It's
Plus
not
2,
there.
27. It's not there because of the healing from the...
Yeah. I don't think it's there
Unless he
either.
can double Flanking... Can he do something really funky with Flanking Striking Katharina? I don't think so.
Ooh, can he get King Crush?
Is there a way you can get King Crush here?
Would there be space on the board? How does Flanking Strike work? It deals the damage, then it would... Oh, man. Because he can't make any other room by killing off his minions because they all have death rattles.
Oh, yeah. Every single one that could die.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's no way to do it.
Oh my goodness. He's going for it though. He's got Kalaxz, so this would be exact lethal if it gets King Crush.
And there's a high main and hundreds of Grizzlies on the
body. Oh my God!
King Crush! And Kalaxz is going into the top 8 with an amazing finale to this 3-0 massacre of Impyyy. Impyyy has to wait and see on tiebreakers, but Kalaxz is going to a